Growing your plumbing business to £1 million a year is way easier than anyone will tell you. I'm going to give you the exact systems and frameworks that we're giving to our client BC Plumbing and Gas to take them all the way to this mark. So here's our full plan. This is where our client's at right now. They are a West Midlands based plumbing and gas business, a gas safe engineer. They're currently a one-man band, so the owner's doing everything, and a lot of tradespeople are in this trap. They're kind of doing everything. They don't have the time to actually think about the business because they're working in the business, and even when they're trying to grow the business, they don't know what they're doing specifically. They kind of do everything gas, plumbing wise. They're around about 5 to 15k a month revenue, but as you know, things are busy one month and then they slow down the next month, and the owner's still on the tools. So we just need to get the owner off the tools and making sure that he's able to earn without working every single hour because of his age. That's a really big goal for him. So breaking down, what does £1 million a year actually look like? £1 million a year is around about £83,000 a month in revenue, which is £90,000 a week. But the biggest number is £13,205 a day. So that means if we focus on the larger jobs, it's only 1 to 2 jobs a day. And whenever you have a goal, always break it down to the smallest increments because that will tell you how achievable it actually is. So here are the 3 phases that we're going to take to get there. Phase 1 is foundations. So this is the foundations of the business that most service-based business owners just completely skip. And this is why they don't even get to the point where they can even get off the ground, because there's certain fundamentals within your business that you always need to make sure you have a hold on. Otherwise, you'll have no predictability and you'll just go to hell. The next phase is getting subcontractors and hiring other workers to help him in the field and to really get him out of the business. And the last step phase is actually taking all the systems we built, subcontractors, and it's just a matter of scaling. So let's go to the foundations. Before you think about looking for more leads, trying to grow your business, trying to hire more technicians and stuff, you have to have the foundations within your service-based business all set up. So the first thing that I always look at is offer. What services do you actually offer itself? So, for example, to get to £1 million a year, as I said before, that's 3,000 and a bit a day. So if you're going to only offer jobs that are, the small repairs, £100 jobs, that means you have to take 10 jobs on, 20, 30 jobs on a day just to reach that mark. If you focus on the larger jobs like the boiler installs, repair, bathroom refurbs, this is the jobs that are going to push you to where you need to be, essentially, with a lot less work. And it's the same work to get any of these jobs, so you may as well go for the larger based jobs. So for BC Plumbing and Gas specifically, we're focusing on the boiler installs because they're quick to do and they've got the highest job value. Yeah, so boiler repairs and services initially just to generate that cash flow, and they are quite quick. You can do 4 in a day easily, and they've got quite high profit margins. And then obviously you got boiler swaps, bathroom refurbs. It's going to add a lot of friction to the service, and finding a subcontractor, making sure they're good. So we'd rather just stick with one thing and then expand out. Get good at one thing, make sure you get it dialed in, and then expand out after. Don't start by serving everyone and everything. And general plumbing repairs, we haven't really got much interest in, fixing leaking taps and things. The next foundation to your service-based businesses, and the thing that most people miss off, is they go to jobs, they charge any random price, they get to the end of the job and they realise they have no profit. They've spent all of their money on labourer, materials, and there's nothing left for them at the end, and that's because their pricing's broken. This is the way that we make sure our pricing is reliable each time. So we use a cost-based pricing method. So this is actually pricing back to front. So you choose your profit margin first, and then you price based on the profit margin you want. For example, if you're installing a boiler and your materials are £1,000, for example, labour might be £400 for the day. So we get our labour rates, and then depending on how long the job will take, we split it up into quarters. So £100 per quarter of the day, which is 2 hours. So if it's a full day, then it's £400. Then you get your overhead costs, so that's your van, insurance, everything. Add it up for the entire year, and then just divide it by, all your working days. So that might be £50 in their case. And then you got the marketing. So how much does it cost for you to get a customer? Most trade people miss all of this out, hence why they're never making profit at the end. All together, we get, 1,650. If we want to make a 40% profit margin, then we know we need to charge 1,100 margin on top. So the total price is 2,750. But this means each day we're making 1,100, and we're actually making profit on all of our jobs rather than getting to the end and realizing that, there's no profit in this. And this is especially important when you're bringing in subcontractors later on in the business. So what numbers? The third foundational thing is your service-based business will never grow predictably if you're not tracking all the right numbers within your business. And this is what you need to know. You need to know the leads in the pipeline and how many leads you get in per week, how many of those leads are qualified, the average quote value of the lead and the quote rate, the close rate of the lead, and the average job value, then your cost to acquire each customer and a profit margin. And the reason why this is important, because it will tell you where inside of your system and your business is broken. For example, if you've spent £800 on ads and you've got 40 leads, then you'll know if the ads are actually performing well or not. Out of those 40 leads, if only 20 are qualified and there's only 50% qualified, then you know that you've got a problem where your ads or something beforehand in the funnel is bringing in these terrible leads that are just basically price shopping and terrible. If you're only able, out of the qualified leads, able to quote 20, that means you got an issue in your actually ability to book visits. So you're losing 8 leads just on the visit booking. If you quote 12 and win 4 jobs, that's actually not a bad rate, but then you know that if you up your close rate and, put in the right sales processes that most tradespeople don't even do, you'll close way more. Then the last thing, obviously revenue. Then you can see what's your price per job, what's your cost to deliver your jobs, and your profit. And this is how you'll be able to track everything within your business, so you can see what's broken and where you actually need to fix instead of just guessing month on month. And these are all of the systems that we're going to install in their business at the foundation, because without this, then you're not able to move on to the next part and scale reliably, which is actually the lead generation system. How do you build a reliable lead generation system for your trade without relying on other businesses and just wasting a whole bunch of money? First thing about getting these leads are, what is the services that you want to focus on? We focus on installs and repairs at the start. We're not looking for emergencies just because the founder, when having a one-man team, you can't just go out on a call. He may have jobs booked for the next 2-3 days and want to quote in between, etc. And just keeping everything repeatable. If you're choosing 1 or 2 services, it's the same thing, same script, same sales, same calculations, same invoices, same process that you're giving to your subcontractors. Here's all the ways that home services businesses can get leads, and this is the ones that actually work. So first you got directories. So this is Checkatrade, Bark, the lead resellers. You'll pay £15 to £30 a lead, sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on the service. The issue is that they're shared 3 to 5 ways. So that means you're just getting price shoppers, low intent, because people who go on Checkatrade and go on Bark and put in their information and know they're going to get called 10 times. So they're either putting the wrong information or they're just getting quotes from loads of different people. And that's the whole point of Bark, Checkatrade. They say getting you the best price. Then you've got a marketing agency. You'll get spammed, emailed and called by marketing agencies. They'll say that they'll either charge you per lead £80 to £150, or they guarantee you a certain amount of leads with a retainer. The issue with these are that although what they're doing is work, both of the directors of marketing agencies, they're just they're doing these other methods and they're giving you basically what they generate, which is costing you a lot more. Then the next option is marketing agencies. They'll charge you £80 to £150 per lead, or maybe a 1.5, 2, 3, 4K retainer. The thing about marketing agencies are, although they know what they're doing, some of them, if you get the right one, and they can grow your business very well, they're running the other methods and they're just adding margin onto your business. They're charging you extra money for something that's so simple for you to do yourself that it's not really worth the time unless you're really adamant that you don't want to do it yourself. If you do want to reliably grow your business, then you should go into the other methods, especially if you want control. Google Ads. Google Ads is great because whenever you have a service or a need for something, Google's the largest search platform in the entire world. Everybody goes to Google and says, plumber near me, roofer near me. These are high intent buyers and you have full control. So the only negatives of Google Ads are is that it actually sometimes can be complicated to set up the funnel. However, once you've got it set up and running, you just scale the spend, scale the areas, and your money just keeps compounding on itself. It's got the highest quality of leads. And that's why it's always somewhere that I say is great to start out with, because once you've got it up and running, the management of it is really, really simple. The next thing that you got is Facebook and Instagram ads. So the thing is with Facebook and Instagram ads is that it has a really low cost per lead, which is great. And it's very, very scalable as a platform. However, the quality of those leads can be low if you don't know what you're doing. Because you're going in front of their face, especially for some services like roofing and plumbing, where it's more of an emergency service, not something that you want to do, like, if you want to get your extension done or landscaping, it's quite difficult to really get that higher quality lead. And if you do get that higher quality lead, it's great because they're not going to be looking at 3 or 4 other people for quotes, because they've just saw yours and they're going to get a call from you and move on. Now, it's quite harder to maintain and set up because you got different creatives. There's quite a lot more moving components, which is kind of different to Google Ads, etc. The next method is almost mandatory. This is Google local service ads. So they charge around about £25 to £45 a lead. However, you're only paying when someone calls you business, and they actually refund you if the lead quality is really low. So you have a high lead quality, Google screened and verified, and basically almost a guarantee that that lead's going to be a high quality lead. As long as you got good sales systems and all the other good conversion mechanisms, there's no reason why you can't do this. Google just ranks you by your reviews, pictures, and how quickly you pick up the phone. And if you have those dialed in, then you won't have any issues. The final thing is owned SEO and content. It's free to build, apart from production costs. It's high quality because people come to you first. However, it's really difficult to get return now. So sometimes it can feel like a waste of time, especially if you don't know how to make content and what you're doing. So what does this mean for our customer? To get to this £1 million mark, all they need is Google LSA and Google Ads. Why? Because LSA sits above everything on Google. For example, if you type in plumbers near me, this is the local service ads. Here's the sponsored results. It's the first thing people see, the first thing that gets pushed in their face, and essentially you'll be able to go and convert these customers. Both are pay for performance, so you're either paying for clicks, or in local service ads, you're paying for each call. And the owner can actually easily manage this account. So once we've set this up for them and give them all of the procedures, SOPs, and even help them with getting a VA to manage this, it's going to be very cheap for them to run and very cheap for them to improve and keep on top of, rather than Facebook, where there's so many components. It's the video, the actual ad metrics, spend bidding, etc. So what is the setup? We got the LSA verification, which they make sure you're gas safe registered, insurance, background checks. We set up the Google Ads account, and we have them both running at the same time, because the issue with local service ads is that you can't control how many leads you get. Even if you pull it to the max budget, Google will only give you a certain amount of leads at one time. Google search example scales linearly, so you can choose how much budget you put towards it, and that will then determine how much return you get out. So we will set up call tracking and the CRM, just so we can make sure that the calls are being converted and the owners making and keeping track of all of the metrics that we set up before. And we use Go High Level to set this up for them. And then we just keep all of the processes there laid out and simple. So a lead, this is the Go High Level setup. A lead will come in, they'll go into the new lead section. These were just tests. And then as we contact them, we'll move them through visit book, quoted, job book, job complete, so we can keep track of every single metric within their business. And where do the leads come in from is the landing page that we set up for them. So this is the landing page that we set up for them. As you can see, what makes a great landing page for lead generation that actually converts is you push for one thing, which is for them to call and get a quote. So we have the number above the fold, number here, call now, a form. They've got so many options. No matter where they scroll on the website, they've still got the option to call. And then we just fill them with proof and trust, showing them the reviews, showing them that we're going to give them an honest price, honest assessment. They hear the word free, and we just give them even the option to split their payments, because this is what makes a compelling offer. Because think about it, when your boiler breaks, you don't want to have to worry about how you're going to spend £3,000 just to get new heating, especially if you don't really have that much money. So we're catering to everyone without compromising on cost. Now, after we've got this system set up, what we can expect is with £2,000 spend a month, our other clients, they get around about a £40 cost per lead. Now this is good on the scale, because with that budget you're looking for around about 50 leads a month. If out of those leads you are able to close 30 to 40% in total, we should win around about 6 to 10 jobs a month, which will take us to that £22,000 mark, which is an 11 times return on ad spend. But sometimes it does come in a bit lower than this. So then after we hit that point and the owner's making money and their calendar's booked out and they've got that month-to-month consistency, inside of the trades business, when you get to the point where you need more staff, I always say go to subcontractors before you take the full-time hires. Why do we do this? Because full-time hires, you come with a lot of fixed costs. Now, although it's cheaper on the overall when you know that the work's consistently coming in and you know that the work's been there for a while, if you do have bad months with a full-time staff member, you still have to pay. So, you know, that might be $3,200 for a good engineer, plus national insurance, pension. You're paying for everything. You have to pay for the tools, van, legal. It's just everything. It's a lot at once when you're focused on scaling to that revenue goal. That's why I always say subcontracting first, because there's no upfront. They get paid per job, and they have all the liability on the site, etc., and the jobs that they do. So it's about how can we actually find these subcontractors. Plumbing wise, if you go to the Gas Safe register, it's actually a directory of all of the gas engineers in your area. So if we say Wolverhampton, for example, you'll see a directory with every single registered Gas Safe engineer in Wolverhampton. Now, although these are companies, some of them don't have websites, some of them are just solos. So if you just go through, call them and say, hey, I'm a local gas engineer. We've had quite an overflow of jobs recently, so we're looking for subcontractors to partner with on a day rate basis. No fixed work, just as and when it comes. Is that something that you're open to? They'll tell you yes, no, and you just ask for their day rate. You get a list of a few, then you just send over basically a pre-agreement, so everything's all black and white, and then you just go ahead with them. And before you do send out the pre-agreement, make sure you've checked that the gas registered, which there will be because you got their number off their site. You got your payment cycle set up, so a weekly payment cycle, and that's all laid out to them. You've got a fixed day rate from them, and then make sure they got their public liability plus their CIS scheme, just so you don't have to worry about any of these things with them, and keep your job simple. Now, once we've fixed the demand problem in the plumbing business, now it's gone back to let's get more leads and actually scale up what we're doing. So how do you scale your home services business when you have your leads coming in and it still doesn't feel like you're growing fast enough? First thing is making sure you're getting the juice out of every channel. If you've got leads coming in and you still want to grow without relying on pushing more leads and pushing more volume, the things that you should do within the actual sales process itself is make sure you've got your sales brochure at their house with price ranges, finance options, case studies, etc. Make sure that when they book an appointment with you, you have videos with your customers, customer testimonials, walkthrough of the houses in your work, and you actually send that to them over message before you get to their house. You make sure your website SEO is dialed in just so you can get that organic growth, and then you just add £100 cash or a year free service or etc. Whatever you can offer to incentivize referrals, because if you add a referral incentive, that's the first place that people look before they even go to Google or any of the advertising platforms. To go to their friend down the road and say, oh, do you know anybody who does boiler installs or who got your roof fixed? And that's why a referral engine is really important. So what's the sales flow that actually makes sure that you're getting the most out of your leads that you are getting? It's people booking. When people book a quote, you send them the proof, as I mentioned, testimonials, reviews, website reviews, brochures, and make sure they saw everything about your business. Remember, people buy from people. So they want to see you, your work, even some values in the video, etc. Because this makes them trust you. Make it almost like an experience and a pleasure to buy from you, not just another plumber who showed up, gone, and then we just numbers on the screen and a message. When you get there and visit in person and estimate with them, make sure, don't just go and give them a quote. Make sure you say, would you want to start that now? When would you be looking to do this? If you start now, I'll give you a discount, and go through a sales framework to try and get them to start at that point. And even in the brochure, make sure you're answering all the objections. And then if you still aren't able to close that lead, have a 6-month follow-up sequence. So the first day, 5th day, 2nd week, and then monthly, every month for 6 months, check in with them. Because with these things, people plan months in advance, and sometimes you forget. So if you're always keeping up with the people, then they'll never forget your name. They'll always know that you're waiting there. And then when it's like, okay, something's come through and I can start this now, you're the first one on mind. The next thing is, just after you've done that and we know we're getting every single piece of juice out of all the leads that we are getting, that's when we scale the channel. So, Google ads, LSA, scale them up, mostly Google ads. Staying local first, slowly expanding postcodes and services depending on which way you want to go. And then, if needed, but it usually isn't needed to the £1 million mark, you can add Facebook ads too. But just never ever scale a channel that isn't closing. Make sure you're fixing your funnels and fixing everything beforehand. And then how to really push your business and get that last final boom to that £1 million a year is actually hiring. Most people go and hire engineers first, but I always say hire a technical sales closer. So this is someone who can go out and close, who's trained on all the sales frameworks, and essentially frees up your time, and their job is just to go out and quote all day and close more jobs. After that, you can move on to hiring an engineer, because this will enable you to actually reduce the margins on the subcontractor, so you're able to get higher profit margins yourself, and use a recruitment agency to do all this. And that's just making you prioritize speed. And that's exactly how you get to £1 million a year with your plumbing business. If you want your whole follow-up sequence plus sale brochure template, DM me sales on Instagram and I'll give you everything, and I look forward to seeing you next time.